Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Mark Palladino. I'm a program director for FDC, and I welcome you all to join us in this hour this morning, where we're going to have our masterclass number 3. The masterclass today is going to talk about the challenges and trends of the digital financial services. We have here Professor Bruno Diniz, who is the author of the book Fenômeno Fintech, and he invited Mr. Alexandre Riccio de Oliveira, who is the VP of Banco Inter. I remind you that our master classes series are part of our global digital finance program, which we welcome you to know a little bit more. In the chat, you have all the links for that. And I welcome you all to join us, interact with us, send us your questions and comments, and then we will give it to the professor and to Alexandre. The program is a partnership between FDC and CKGSB, which is the Chao Kung School of Business. And I welcome here Michelle Yu and Mary Wadsworth to talk a little bit about CKGSB. Mary, please.
Thank you, Mark. It's truly a pleasure to be here this morning, and would like to share with you a little bit, for those who don't know about us, some background on Chung Kung Graduate School of Business. My name is Mary Darby. I'm based at CKGSB Americas here in New York. And we are a school that is a relatively new school, but we are the leading business school in China. And we actually have campuses in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. We are the only private school. We are faculty governed, and we differentiate ourselves, we believe, in 3 areas. One is our faculty. Over 50% of our faculty come from tenured positions throughout the world and then join CKGSB in Beijing, Shanghai, or Shenzhen. And we do have faculty in New York. We also do a lot of research, and we have about 300 unpublished cases. And finally, we're known for our alum. We have over 14,000 alum, although being relatively young, and most of them are very well known to you all, like Jack Ma of Alibaba, Tencent's founder, Pony Ma, and many, many others. But we're so excited to work with FDC, and our faculty have constant, contact exchanges and do a lot together. And let me just turn it over to my colleague, Michelle Yu, who is program manager and marketing manager, also based in New York, who will tell you a little bit more about what we do together.
Thank you, Mary, so much. And thank you, Mark. I would just like to introduce the digital finance program Mark was just mentioning. This program will be online and offline together, but of course this year every course will be online. And this program is designed by these 2 business schools, CKGSB and FDC, both leading schools in China and Brazil, for finance and IT executives, especially in the fintech areas. This program helps you to understand the challenges and opportunities in such a complex and evolving fintech ecosystem, including the cutting-edge technologies and the theories for leadership. During this program, you will learn the innovation from both China and the US and Brazil, from leading faculty and business practitioners, to help you bring your company more innovative. And thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you during our program.
Thank you, Michelle. We also have here Professor Oliveira Roggi, who's going to follow up with me, your questions and comments, and then we'll send it to Bruno and Alexandre. Have a nice morning and discussions about this exciting world of digital finance, the challenges and the trends. Thank you all. I'll be back in the end so we can talk a little bit more. Thank you very much and have a nice morning.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Mark, and for the invitation, FDC, CQ, and GSB also for this program. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk a little bit about the challenges and trends in the digital finance space. I'm going to have a chat with Alexandre, so I think it's going to be a very good opportunity to explore digital challenges that Banco Inter have gone through this process of becoming going from a bit-sized bank to a digital platform, digital bank. So we got lots to discuss. Just to introduce myself, my name is Bruno Diniz. I have a consultancy firm called Spiralem, and I also lead FDATA here in Brazil, which is the Financial Data and Financial Data Association and Technology Association. We basically help companies in the open banking world. We basically been founded in the UK, and now we got we got specialists and directors all over the world assessing and helping this process of the regulation of open banking all over the place. And also, I'm a teacher, and it's a pleasure to be here, and an author of the book, The Fintech Phenomenon, which is in Brazil, in Portuguese is O Fenômeno Fintech. It's going to be translated soon, but now it's only available in Portuguese. It's a pleasure to talk here with you guys. I would like to hear a little bit from Alexandre. Alexandre, could you introduce yourself after we start?
Sure. So thanks, Bruno. Thanks, Mark, for the invitation along with the FDC team, GSB, and everyone. Pleasure to be here. So I've been here at Banco Inter for the last 7 years. So done a lot, and we're very happy to be here to tell a little bit about this story, how we were able to evolve. Prior to being here, I went through INDG, which is a very well-known consultancy here in Brazil, and moved to the US. So very unusual to someone in the finance industry. Spent 5 years in the steel industry in the US, then went for Kellogg for an MBA, and came back to Brazil as a consultant again, but this time for BCG. And in the last 7 years, I'm here at Banco Inter, trying to disrupt this financial market. So this is a little bit about the background, Bruno.
Amazing, Alexandre. Well, let's jump into questions and try to have this chat. As Mark told, please, you can send your messages here and on YouTube. We're going to choose some of those questions. I'm going to have a Q&A session with the audience soon. But first, let's start with some base questions here. So Alexandre, the financial market has come a long way in the last decade. Oh no, in fact, let's talk about Inter first. I think it's very important. We have some specific challenges you guys gone through, and I think it's good to explore that. Alexandre, you mentioned that you are in Inter for the last 7 years, right? And I think the institution has gone through a very intense transformation process in the last 5 years or so. Considering that the bank used to be a very niche bank focused on real estate, a mid-sized bank in Minas Gerais, a family-owned institution. It's also important to give all this background to the audience. I'm pretty sure you guys faced a lot of challenges along the way during this transformation. Can you tell a little bit more about that? How was the journey of transformation? And it seems like all the other institutions in financial market in Brazil, even big banks and mid-sized banks, are going after some kind of big transformation like the ones you guys made. So can you explore and tell a little bit about this journey for us?
Yeah, so we're about 26 years now. So Banco Inter, and the reality is that in the first 20 years, we were, just like you said, a niche bank focused on real estate, middle market, and payroll loans, which is a very specific type of loan that's popular in Brazil. And we faced two big challenges, which were cost of funding to compete with the big retail banks, huge concentration here in Brazil, as a lot of you know, like more than 85% of the market concentrated within 5 big players. And we had these 2 challenges. So very low revenue diversification and very high cost of funding, which made it hard to compete. And when we looked at what they had that we didn't have is retail clients. So they had retail funding, retail clients, a lot of stickiness of relationship with these clients. And that was given by like a huge IT infrastructure, super expensive, very CapEx heavy, and also about a huge branch network that they have. So around on average, like 4,500 branches on each of these institutions. And of course, when you think about competing with these guys, it's almost impossible. At that point, just to give a sense to everyone, Itaú had like 120 billion reais in shareholders' equity. We had 270 million reais. So there was no excess cash to invest on building all this. So we decided to go digital. We went through a digital, let's call it a digital transformation for 2 years for let's say an initial heavier entry into the digital banking. We came to the market with a proposition of a bank that was digital, free, and full service. So we were the first 100% free bank in Brazil. We had help to gain traction from the central bank that allowed account opening through the app. And these 2 years that I mentioned were between 2014 and 2016. So we did a lot of IT work and set ourselves up to go to the cloud, to AWS. In 2016, we launched this account opening through the app. We launched a MasterCard credit card, which at that point was a gap from us. We already had most of the banking backbone on investments and things like that, credit, like you mentioned, and we started growing. So in these last, let's say 4.5 years, we went from 8,000 clients to more than 7 million now. So a lot of traction. And of course, during this period, a lot of execution challenges. You can name them because they are everywhere. We have challenges of scale, entry barriers in several segments. You must have a lot of resilience and a lot of patience to overcome all these challenges. And the interesting thing is that we evolved a lot. So today, I mentioned 7,000 checking account holders, and our business evolved to 5 different avenues. So today we have what we call day-to-day banking, which is where we have the 7 million clients. We have credit, investments, insurance, and marketplace. All these things work together in the app, everything on the same app, which is, we think it's a big differential for us. And all this, another interesting point is that all these businesses, if we think about them 2 years ago, we had the bank, the digital bank with a lot of clients and very small niches on these other 4 segments. And they all grew. So today we're talking about 7 million clients, 7 million checking account holders, but we're reaching 1 million investors. We're reaching 2 million credit holders. We're more than 100,000 insurance people insured by our broker, and also a lot of growth in the marketplace. And this business, everything is interconnected. So in the end of the day, we are naturally becoming a lot more of a platform business than just a bank. So I think this is a little bit about the background or where we stand now.
Amazing. And that's one cool thing that you said, that when you compare the size of the other banks and the size of the branches that they had, that they used to have like more than 4,000 branches and things like that. Today, we can see some research and reports from McKinsey and also Gartner that's saying that the thing about the competitiveness in this market is going to change a lot, and that's one of the components because of this legacy structure that the big banks had. Now it's becoming a flaw. It's becoming something that it's not that good for them, and all the new players that are coming, just like you guys, are coming much more leaner and faster. That's a very interesting point to talk as well. And talking about that, please continue.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We like I said, in 2014, in our board meetings, the discussion was, okay, so they have this huge advantage. We can't compete with that. Today, we may look and say they have this huge disadvantage because now this is, of course, there is omni-channel. There are specific needs for the infrastructure that exists today on the big banks, and we can't say there isn't. But we're evolving to a model where you won't need 5,000 branches. We know that you won't need to have your own data centers and things like that because you have cloud-enabled technology, but much cheaper than that. So it is interesting there to see how things have switched, and we say that we have a late mover advantage.
Exactly.
Because if we started our project in 2012 and not in 2014, we would probably have a lot of legacy systems. We wouldn't be cloud. And so there is a little bit of timing advantage there as well.
Yeah, timing is everything. And also talking about timing, we have some things to consider as well here in the Brazilian, specifically in the Brazilian landscape, because the financial market has come a long way in the last decade in terms of regulatory changes. So we have, and also we have advances in terms of technology. That's a global thing that allows now we to run operations on the cloud and everything else, something that wasn't possible, a decade ago, things like that. And so we had advances just like the end of the acquirers duopoly that we used to have here in early 2010. Yep. And then we have the creation of the payment institutions. We have the payment institutions law, yep. Online lending regulation. More recently, we have both the PIX, which is the Brazilian instant payments systems, and also open banking regulation. So regulatory barriers are going down, and many opportunities are appearing for the players, especially for new entrants. So thinking about all of that and all the possible changes that those kind of regulatory and technological changes are going to bring here, what are the main opportunities in the market? How do you see that, and how do you see the competitive forces being adjusted through this, this continuous movement by the central bank, and also about technology in general and infrastructure?
Yeah. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about these competitive forces. I think there are some interesting examples of things that we faced during our journey that bring good examples of the challenges that we used to face that I think players are not going to face anymore, which goes to the evolution that you mentioned. And then we'll talk about the opportunities that we see with open banking and PIX and things like that. So as far as the challenges, it's interesting to look back. So basically, we love to tell a story about in 2014, we used to issue a card of a brand named Cabal. It's a brand from Argentina. We used to issue those for our payroll loan credit cards. And we started the digital bank with this card. Of course, it was a gap because not every acquirer accepted these cards. So basically, we set up a business plan to go to MasterCard and Visa and try to be an issuer. And that's where the challenges began. At that time, we used to open like 30 accounts a day. So 30 accounts a day. And we couldn't imagine that one day we would open like 20-some thousand accounts a day, some days 30,000 accounts. So we made our business plan. And our business plan stated that in 2020, so this year, we would be reaching 100,000 clients. So we were wrong by 70x. That's exactly how much uncertainty we had for this planning. And of course, we did the meetings with a friend from another bank arranged us two meetings for us. We showed our business plan and nobody got back to us. And so a year later, we were up and running a little bit better. We were able to become an issuer for MasterCard, and we were in business for that. And then you start learning about all these things that in Brazil, we know that we have a very evolved financial system. And this evolved financial system is really based on a lot of complexity and a lot of legacy systems that were built. So you learn that you're not going to be able to do collection for, say, power companies, for phone companies, all the utilities. And that's hard. That's become like a major problem. And then you address this problem. So there are lots of entry barriers that we were one of the first trying to beat them. And now what happens is that all these, let's say, all these challenges summed up, they are delivered by some specific players that specialized on doing the infrastructure, the banking infrastructure, and offer that, let's say, for a fee. So all this work that we have to keep, that we had to do in 4 years to build this bank that can compete with the big banks, with a lot of challenges, a lot of no's in the way. As you mentioned, you can find a lot easier now. But I think the challenges don't stop there. So it's not, I don't think it's easy now, because then you face other challenges. So in the past, when the banks were doing like their planning, they had a lot of fees to pay for everything. Now nobody can count on fees because that's part of the past. So you have to count on efficiency. You have to count on scale. So it's interesting to see how it evolves. And going a little bit to some of what we see, for instance, on Pix and open banking, we think there is opportunity. We like to say that in Pix, at least in our case, for our business model, we'll have huge cost savings. So we spend a lot of money. We spend close to, if we take boletos, which is the Brazilian payment slips, and the wire transfers, we spend today more than 80 million a year to provide this for free for clients. And Pix is going to slash this. It's going to bring this down to less than a million. So there is a major cost saving advantage there. But we know that there is a lot more than that as we look to Pix and everything that's planned for it. So there is a lot of new opportunities in payments in general. So it's really going to simplify how we pay for things. If we think about with a cell phone, anyone is going to be able to transact basically anywhere. We do have a very good network of 3G, 4G, hopefully in the near future 5G. So Pix, it will disrupt and will do major cost reduction. It will really transform. If we go to all the steps that the central bank's planning, it will really transform our industry in a very intense way. And open banking, I think it's gonna improve the credit analysis part, which is important because you're gonna have a lot more information. I think part of these gains are already happening as we have the positive bureau that we did, the positive bureau that we didn't have in Brazil. Now it's starting to work. So it's already going to bring some of these gains. But more than that, because the central bank moved Pix also through investments, insurance, and things like that, we're going to be able to have a lot better understanding of the share of wallet that we have in the clients. We like to say that if we didn't open any more accounts, if we just wanted to work on our 7 million clients, we could already keep growing the bank more than 10, 15, 20% a year in the products that we already have. Why? Because we have a lot of share of wallet to gain. And open banking is going to make it easier to understand who are these clients that have these excess investments, these excess credit to bring in.
Amazing. And it's nice when you said about when we put into perspective the size of Inter now, because when you look at the European landscape, for example, we have the biggest player which is Revolut, that got like 9 million clients, and you guys got 7 million clients. And we're talking about a player that operates in Europe as a whole, and you guys specifically in Brazil. So, and I believe there's lot of things to do when you look at other players in the neobank field, like even Nubank that got up to 30 million clients. I think that's massive opportunities, and And all of those different things that are, being introduced, like PIX, like open banking, are definitely going to make this thing go faster, and competition is going to increase. And connected to this question, I got another one, which is it has never been easier building digital banking in Brazil. After all of that, after all these advances in terms of technology and regulation, and also because of the creation of banking, of the proliferation of banking as a service providers as well. So, which is basically someone that can enable a non-financial institution, or even help a financial institution to deliver products and start offering digital services, financial services in a very fast and easy way, providing both regulatory and technological and sometimes regulatory capacities to it. So basically, how do you think the strategies in the financial sector is going to change with this possibility, with the increase of those players, and basically with this phenomenon that we're seeing today, which is called embedded fintech or embedded finance, which basically states that any major player in any different field can start offering financial services. Like here in Brazil, we have a case for Via Varejo that got now Banqi, which is basically their digital bank. And from that, they are going to get their massive client base with specific needs, with a specific profile, and start offering not only financial services, but also non-financial services, which I think it's going to be a very interesting combination. So how do you see this new scenario going forward?
So I think that there are a few aspects, but it's a very good question. So let's say, for one, I don't think we're gonna have like a lot of players. I don't think we're gonna have like 50 relevant fintechs or banks, digital banks. I think we're gonna have a relatively small number. What we may have someone doing like a banking as a service, and some retailers with success in serving their clients with a bank. But again, going to the point that you mentioned, with the banking as a service, someone that has the scale and takes care of all these challenges, because there are a lot of challenges and it's not cheap to manage all this on a lower scale. This may enable people like Banqi may become, from Via Varejo, they may become bigger and operate in a sole way. But normally, I believe more in the success of someone doing the banking as a service. Now, the other point, it goes to your point about the retailers going to fintech. The point is, we like to say that what they're trying to be is they're trying to be a platform. We see that very, very clearly on Mercado Livre, with Mercado Pago and everything that they're doing. They did already obviously become a relatively large financial institution already. And basically, so they had let's call the retail business, digital retail business going on the marketplace, and they moved to fintech because they saw that they needed that. That increases recurrence, that brings more data, that increases revenues. So there are a lot of advantages to that. So basically, understanding also what they did and the evolution of us, basically, we're going the other side. From the other side, we were already a fintech, so already a financial institution. The nice thing is that being a financial institution, being a fintech, being a bank, we have 4 things that are very important to be successful, to move to the other way, which is the retail. So we have the recurrence already. So about our clients log in about just 1 time per business day, which is super nice. So a lot of recurrence, people come in every day. Normally, a retailer will have people coming back 2-3 times a year. Imagine if they came back every day. So we have a lot of recurrence, a lot of data. So we may not have the double click of the purchase of the client, but we know, for instance, where the client's buying, Obviously, we have to take care of the new data law and everything, but the data is here if the client allows us to use it. We have payments and we have credit. And these, so again, data, recurrence, credit, and payments. Having these 4 elements, it's essential, and we had it already as a bank. So we also moved to the other way, Bruno. This is interesting. As we evolve to marketplace, we're trying to use all this information that we have to move the other way and do the retail as well. So I think we're gonna go to a place where the big platforms are gonna win. So because you're gonna want to do more things at the same place, and that I think is gonna be the future. So it makes sense that Via Varejo wants to go more finance. That Mercado Livre went where it went, and there are many other examples out there.
Yeah, and it's interesting to consider that there are so many different interesting combinations that can come up from that because of this possibility that we already talked of, that now it's possible for them to make that. For example, when you look at the tech space, we have Mercado Livre that you mentioned, but you also have TOTUS here in Brazil. We're not only talking about offering like a massive, like big retail, like retail banking, digital retail banking, because TOTUS, for example, they got their ERP, and now people can manage their finances. The entrepreneur can do that, and they can also have like credit offerings inside the platform, the ERP. So that's very powerful. And there are other combinations, as I mentioned, that we have the big retailers that can make sense for them to make this. We have telcos can go through this thing. Tech companies or big tech companies. But one thing that interesting, you said that it all comes down to a platform game. It's all about making your platform. I think it's not everyone will be able. It's an opportunity for everyone because it's here, it's possible, it's feasible. But I think not everyone will be able to capture those opportunities in terms of building a product that got excellence. That's the thing, because have just another wallet or another checking account, I think that's not the place. It's not the thing. The thing is how we can make this person a part of this ecosystem and have recurrency, just like you said. And talking about that specifically, Inter has approached this strategy in the sector. I think it's one of the first pure financial player that is doing that, because the opposite is something that happens a lot, which is, okay, I'm already a platform, I'm already in the, like when you look at the big players in China, for example, we have Alibaba and all that. They are already in this place and they moved to finance. They did the tech things. You are the fintech and also bring this capability of platforms. So chasing what the media says, you guys are trying to be a super app, or you, just as you mentioned, as a platform and things like that. What are the main drivers for this change, and how you believe this is going to unfold in the country? And what do you think the competitors are doing about that? And looking that the competitors now are not only the guys like the other bank there or there, is also like a Magazine Luiza that perhaps are going to deploy some kind of strategy in the sense, Via Varejo. We have like big telcos doing partnerships with banks or even launch their own products. How do you see this going forward?
Yeah, so I think one point is that, as you said, there are lots of players with lots of strategies. Many of these players have a strategy that converge to something similar, and what we're gonna find is that whoever differentiates more in terms of product is gonna win. So there are lots of things that are gonna be basics. So if we think about like product stability, free checking accounts, all these things are kind of a given. People will not accept. So you won't have a bank account where you pay a fee, because it's unacceptable. It's just like if you had to pay to have email today. You wouldn't, I mean, at home, you won't pay to have an email. I think it's about the same mindset. So it will go to a lot of product differentiation. So for instance, in our case, what we try to do is to bring to the client a platform where we can really simplify their life. And what do we mean by simplifying their life, the client's life? Offering everything that they need in terms that the clients need in terms of finances, so they can do all their credit, they can do credit cards, they can do their insurance. So auto insurance, we have more than 10 insurances that we sell digitally through the app to the client. They can buy their pension plans and things like that. And then why did we go to this retail part? These retail solutions, our marketplace, and we're calling it more like a digital shopping mall, actually, if people log into the app. Also to simplify and to offer an advantage, a product differentiation, if we compare to going retail somewhere else. So basically, we're becoming also a strong cashback platform, which is becoming one of our differentiations. And how does this work? So basically, credit card, for instance, we didn't have a loyalty program. We brought a cashback program. So our Black MasterCard has like 1%, 0.5% on Platinum, 0.25 on the entrance. All the purchases that people do on the marketplace, they earn a cashback. That's a relevant cashback. That's also a product differentiation. So we evolved to bring into the client this differentiation and simplify their lives. And if we look at all the other platforms, I think we're going to have to be careful so that it doesn't become confusing. What I think is happening a lot already is, one, what you said. If you just have a checking account, people open it to test and they don't use it. So in the end of the day, there isn't a lot of added value there for the player that's doing that. And many times bringing the differentiation is expensive. So what I really think we need a little bit more time so that people can feel a little bit better. Both clients and the businesses can feel where it's going to go. And then people are for sure going to join forces to work more connected, to work together towards what's going to be this new future.
Perfect. Yeah. And one thing that you said that I think was a perfect analogy is about email, that we used to pay for this service, but before, now we won't pay that anymore. And I think the thing is, for the financial institutions or for everyone trying to deliver a gain in the digital finance world, it's about new ways of monetizing this client and when you look, there are some basic things that can be done, like trying to improve the coverage of some products that people in Brazil still lack using, like insurance that you mentioned. It's good to make a comparison that the guys from Paytm in India, they also bought insurance company to start delivering, because in India a few people got insurance, and then they think, okay, let's do different products in terms of insurance. So now they are also insuring bikes, because people use it a lot. So bikes and also phones. I think there are lots of things to go through in this space here in Brazil as well, when you compare to some other major ecosystems. So I think it's a great thing to consider, and definitely we're gonna have a different space. One thing that I believe that can also happen, we're gonna have the big neobanks, just like you guys, just like Neon, Nubank, that are coming fresh and trying new hypotheses in the market. We have the big players trying to do something also, but it's harder because they are big, and to make those movements it's complex. But we're going to see also, I believe, some specific niche players, like for example, a digital bank for truck drivers, and all comes up to how well they can identify and create value for this specific public, like partnerships with some kind of a company that provides fuel, for some, mechanicals that someone can repair shops and all of that. So it's all about how you can create an ecosystem that makes sense for a smaller portion of a public, but a still relevant one when you consider, a business where you can have many products being delivered to this public. I think it's also important to consider. Well, Mark, do you have any questions from the audience? I have some questions here, but I think it's good to jump into the interaction part right now.
Right, perfect. Yes, we have a question from the audience. It's Alexandre and Bruno. What do you think about, Bruno was talking a little bit about that when he mentioned the truck driving banks. I mean, how large is the unbanked population in the world, especially in Brazil? And how does Inter see that as an opportunity to go international?
Okay, so there are a few things. I think if we think about the unbanked, there are many ways of looking at it. I remember watching a talk, a keynote from a director of a large bank in Brazil in 2010. And he said there that there wasn't unbanked because the unbanked were not bankable. I think this changed a lot from then. There was a lot of a very strict financial mindset on this speech and what he said. Basically, what the mindset was like, you cannot bank someone on a branch for a cost that's compatible, so everyone's already banked. Not the ideal way. It's not a financial inclusion way of looking at it, but it's maybe a financial way of looking at it. And how can you monetize? So I think this changed a lot. So today, I think people that are unbanked because for some reason they want it. In Brazil, at least, we democratized totally the financial industry. So financial inclusion, all you need to have is a smartphone. A lot of the barrier for financial inclusion in Brazil is that, believe it or not, people were shy to go to the branch and to ask to have an account opening. We know that for a lot of people, they used to have no as an answer because many times the bank didn't have an interest on opening an account for them. Today, it's obvious. People download an app. If they do a normal QIC, they'll have an account. So I think that's already a major evolution. And now what's interesting, I think just to link on that, what's interesting is that most of the clients of the new entrants, such as us and Nubank and everyone else, are not the unbanked. So less than 10% of the clients that open an account, at least with us, are unbanked. So most of the people are really converting from the legacy, the old banks, to the new banks because of the value proposition differences. So this is interesting. Now, when we think about the international opportunities, I think each region is bringing a different approach to address a problem of financial inclusion. So we have examples such as in Kenya, M-Pesa, a bank there with millions and millions of clients addressed using a phone, not even a smartphone, actually a normal touch phone. They address the financial inclusion problem, and it will keep evolving. If we think about the opportunity, for instance, for Inter to go abroad, we think there are easier ways in the short term to go abroad. So, for instance, the marketplace, the virtual shopping mall may be an easier channel to go abroad because you can do your product offering and connect to the world through a payment gateway. So if you think about like a Visa or a MasterCard, that can be our gateway to accept foreign clients into the platform as they buy content, as they buy other things that maybe don't need delivery or maybe need delivery. And we'll have to set this up with our sellers so that they can deliver abroad. So again, to go abroad? Is there a way or an advantage to go there with the product that we've built? Yes, but there are a lot of regulatory complexities and a lot of there is a lot of, like we say in Brazil, that we have to tropicalize the solutions. Each country that we go, we have to face different challenges, different regulators, different responsibilities, which may make it not that hard to take one new market. But if we think about taking lots of new markets, it's complex. And the interesting thing is that we see how hard it is when we see the international players trying to come from Brazil and many times giving up. We have two examples recently of two European fintechs that came to Brazil. They have been here for more than a year, and we didn't see the products out in the market yet. And I think, did I answer the full question, Mark? Or
I guess so. Yeah, that was great. That was great.
I got some things to add. I think it was a great explanation by Alexandre. But some things that he said, I think it's important for us to take a look. First of all, when you look about financial inclusion specifically, and people that are excluded from the financial system. Here in Brazil, there are some statistics that show that 30% of the population is excluded from, are unbanked. And when you look at places like Mexico, it's like 50%. So it's crazy. It's a much larger challenge, and we have many different contexts around the world. But one thing is for sure, here in Brazil, we have also the unbanked problem, but we have the underbanked, which is people that are banked, they got a bank account, but they are underserved because they don't have access to products like credit and many other products. That's one thing that those platforms came to help in this process. Another thing that Alexandre said that I also believe is that the banking system here and the banking branches, there is a very hostile environment for people at the bottom of the pyramid. It's very hostile. And that's one of the reasons why when you look at an initiative like Banqui from Via Varejo, it makes a lot of sense because most of the people are going to make the transition from the online to the offline to the online world. And those people, they don't have a very good, feel when they enter the bank because we have, a very hostile environment. We have people only talking in a way that most people don't understand because a lot of economic jargons on the speech. But when they enter at Casas Bahia, for example, they feel at home and they can discuss the same thing with like a seller there. So that makes lots of difference in this thing. When Alexandre also talked about the case for M-Pesa, and it's important to say that M-Pesa in Kenya is an initiative by a telco, and people can bank themselves with a dumb phone. What I said, that is a dumb phone, not a smartphone, and they can recharge their accounts in the local shops. So it's also a very it's a non-hostile environment like we have here in Brazil. So I think there are so many things to consider in this. And of course, we are in the journey from the people that like we have a small portion of unbanked people using Nubank, using Inter, using Neon, but there are lots of underbanked people that don't have access to many products that the big banks don't provide them. And that's one key change that is going to happen with this process.
Right.
Any other questions, Mark?
Yeah, we have another one. I guess someone is looking for a job at Banco Inter here. He just asked it, what are the skills that you consider for an executive that wants to be part of this world?
So we really look to in execution capacity and an entrepreneurial mindset. Of course, I think that the first point that we look is we want to have people that we like to work with. So how can I say that? Just people, nice people. We're nice people here. So easygoing people, and this is important. But having that as a base, then we really think about people that like to execute hands-on and with a very entrepreneurial mindset. What we've been doing, and the reason why we were able to grow and to execute on so many different avenues of growth that we say. So again, the day-to-day banking, credit, investments, insurance, marketplace, all these things together, they are entrepreneurial, let's say, projects. You could think of them as different businesses that are being built, and they're not being built by one single mind. So they're being built by a large team of entrepreneurial people that are bringing their ideas every day. And we have a culture that really allows people to think out of the box and put these thoughts to work and put these thoughts in the market to the clients very, very quickly. Of course, there are lots of regulatory restrictions. We know that the financial industry is very regulated, and you must be very diligent on everything that you're doing. But we look to people that can be diligent and at the same time be an entrepreneur with us. We like to say that many times when people think about being an entrepreneur, they think they have to start a business. And when they start a business, they do the same thing every day, trying to keep the business up. So the last thing that they're doing is being an entrepreneur. And we think people can be an entrepreneur here because they're going to be doing different things, moving different projects. Right. And that's the type of people that we like.
Looking for. That's great. Thank you for sharing. Bruno, do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, I think it's there are different profiles now. I have been asked every day about people trying to make transition from the traditional banking to other places. I think that there's a difference in terms of the structure, because when you look at some of the big players, it's just like a very heavy structure, like in terms of organizational structure. And when you look at other fintech players, it's a much more agile mindset, and the way the projects are held is different. Not that the traditional banks are not moving to this space, because that's definitely happening, but we're talking about a very different scale of operations. And it's interesting what Alexandre said, that those different moving parts that they have, all they are creating is just like many different projects that need to be held and created in a way like when you take a project like an entrepreneur project to put that on air. So that's interesting.
Great. There's another question here, and what do you think, in your opinion, which are the biggest obstacles to deal with in the future of the digital finance world? They are regulators, retailers, or the competitors? What do you think?
Alexandre, you want to start?
Do you want to start, Bruno? You can start it.
Yeah, I have some considerations on that. I think that the obstacles here, it's not looking at the people, because people are going to have many options. That's not the case. The case here is for the ones that are providing. I don't think it's very clear for all the players how they are going to deploy the strategy. We're going to see many things that are going to be tried out and won't work. And it's obviously a very interesting opportunity if you have a established ecosystem, you are a big player like a retailer or something, and you start offering financial services. Okay, you have a new revenue line and all of that, but that's going to start as a side project, but that cannot be the case all the time, because otherwise you're going to have a product that's not an excellent product. It demands, I believe, and I want to hear what Alexandre got to say about that, but it demands a lot of attention. The customer is someone that demands nothing but the best, and there are many competitors trying to get the same player. I heard something some time ago that we're having here in Brazil with digital accounts the same thing we have with the Mexican popsicles, which in Brazil the paleterias mexicanas. here in Brazil, because that's something that everyone tried to open, everyone tried to offer it. They try to make it cool. Okay, that's something that is just the same product, but everyone tried to gourmetize the product. And in the end, all of them end up failing. Or some of them are here, but they are using some distribution channels, not open their own shops, only to sell a specific type of popsicle. So I believe that they're going to have many players trying to enter in that, frustrating a lot of clients. That's one thing. And when a client gets frustrated, they tend to, okay, I should have been on my older bank or thing like that. That gives a very strange feeling to this sector. But I'm really wondering how the players are going to deliver the strategies and try to make up with something that makes sense. Not only because, oh, there is opportunity, let's grab it, and not taking attention to what they need to deliver out of this process.
Yes, and Bruno, I'm very aligned with you. I think if we think like, for instance, regulators, I think they will more help than cause problems. I think everyone wants to have a more evolved, more democratic, more value-added products in finance and on platforms and everywhere. And I really believe we're going to go back to the product differentiation, which is the point that you mentioned clearly there. Like just having a digital checking account won't do anything to the client. So you're definitely not differentiated if that's your plan. And and client service. So the level of client service that the clients are going to demand in the future is much higher than what we're used to receiving. I don't think because of that you're going to need to spend a lot more on client service, but you're going to have to be a lot smarter on how you serve the clients. A lot of AI, machine learning, and things like that. A lot of making sure that the user experience of the products is very slick and things like that, and the product differentiation itself. So of course, we've talked today here a lot about the fee part, which becomes the new normal is there are no fees, but it's going to go way beyond that. You're going to have to be in the frontier there on all the products that you offer to the client to make sure that they don't go away on niches that are important for the monetization part.
Great.
I think that's it.
And one thing, just to finish that, most products that banks used to deliver 10 years ago are now commodities. Okay, and it's easy to set up. It's all here. We all discussed that. The thing is exactly what Alexandre said. You know, what's the next step beyond that, and how can you provide services that make a value added to this client? And so it's, for me, that's the importance of, for a player that's not from the sector, how to align financial offerings with non-financial offerings, with things that, okay, that anticipate some of the client needs that are not only, you know, basic financial things like having a checking account, you know, having a place to invest. You know, it's much larger than that.
Great. I guess we have time for one last question here, which connects with what you just said. What is, in your opinion, who's going to win this competition in the future? The large banks, the fintechs, the retailers? How do you see this market in the future? That's our last question because of the time, okay?
Okay, Bruno, do you want to start or can I start?
Please start. I have some consideration in the end.
Okay, so Mark, I think it depends on if we think next 5 years, next 10 years, of course. But to start, I think we are gonna be one of the winners, and we work hard here every day to make sure that we are out there. But we think there is let's think about 5 years. We're still gonna have a lot of players in the environment. Of course, all the inertia that we have with the 5 big banks here in Brazil, they're gonna be there. They're very profitable. They're evolving. I believe they will lose a lot of market share, but they're gonna be out there. And the bigger retailers, not retailers, I should say, but the tech companies like Mercado Libre will be out there as well. And a few of the new entrants, such as us, Nubank, maybe two more, I think are gonna be out there. So we're gonna have, let's say, 10 different players fighting for this market. A lot of overlap. So we talked about product differentiation. So we're gonna have a lot of guys that use us for certain things, use a competitor for other things, and we make sure we differentiate to have most of the client's business. And then in the future, we may have more consolidation, but I think that's going to be more than 5 years from now. About 4 years ago, I remember that we said that we believed we would have 3 to 4 digital banks. We got almost all of them right so far. So let's see if what I'm saying is really going to happen. But I think, yeah, 5 years from now, if we repeat this masterclass, we'll see maybe more relevant players, but still like 10 guys that became big.
Great.
Yeah, I also believe that talking about winners, I think that we have the winners today, that the guys that are big, the big banks, it's very clear that they're going to lose lots of revenues in things that don't make any sense anymore. And that opens up also opportunities to new players, like fees, lots and lots of fees. There are fees coming out from transfers here, transfer wires, like TADs here in Brazil. All of those players are going to lose something like this with Pix. And so, there are so many adjustments to happen, but I think the one that moves faster to this concept of platform and can deliver something else to the client is going to win. And I also believe that many of the big banks, for example, that don't have a native capacity in some aspects, like providing tech, they are going to make partnership with some tech companies. That's happening out there. That's happening in the US, for example. When you look at the players that are delivering products for Apple, we got Goldman Sachs on the backbone. We have Google, we have Citibank and other players that are going to work with Google for delivering checking accounts. So I believe also in this partnership. The one that knows how to play that well is also going to do a good thing in the future.
Great. So we came to our end here this morning. I hope you have all enjoyed. Thank you very much for joining us. Alexandre, thank you very, very much for your time, for your precious sharing here. Bruno as well. We believe that it's been a very, very rich discussion. And if you want to know more about the global digital world, please check the link on our chat there. And FDC is offering you. We're designing this program with Chao Kung, not only professors, we're going to have also practitioners from the market, such as Alexandre. So we're planning to have this great program designed for the global digital finance world. Please check it, get to know more. Thank you again for everything, for this rich discussions this morning. Okay? Thank you very much.
Mark.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, all the teams, and thanks, audience, for being here with us.
Thank you
Have
very
a good
much.
day, everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.